another thing that I really think has been important in this journey is building a good relationship, having a lot of empathy for the end users, and just building the human relationships to the end users to really understand how frustrating it is if you don't have the right tools to do your job because maybe they don't exist. I mean, that's really frustrating. So.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, Interaction Media, and Storymaker. With the help of these sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
Well, folks, we're visiting today with Drew Lytton and Cody Childers. They're with a company called Growmentum here in West Virginia, and we're going to learn about their show or their new company just starting up. Drew, Cody, thanks for being here on the show with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you here in the studio, and I always love talking about a startup business, and here you guys are just getting started in 2024. Drew, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about Growmentum and what you guys do.
Yeah, sure. So Growmentum is a software application built specifically for task management and labor optimization for the horticulture industry. So if you go to the big box retailers and you see the garden centers and nursery centers, the people who grow those plants are our customers. That's who we service. And we provide a first of its kind software platform for helping them run a more organized and efficient organization.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great overview. Cody, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think really, there are a lot of folks that put a lot of hard work in. I think, people take plants for granted. I think there's a lot more work than people understand. And honestly, I don't know of any other software that does what we truly have built here, and it's been all built in West Virginia.
Yeah, that's amazing. You guys are both from West Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cody, you're from Fairmont. Mm-hmm. Drew, you're from the Beckley area, Beckley, right? And, I think that's awesome that you have two young people in the tech space here in West Virginia, staying here, you're putting down roots and growing a great company. So, I'm curious to understand how Growmentum got started.
Yeah, sure. So, Cody and I work for a company here in West Virginia called M&S Consulting. Yeah. And the cool thing about the consulting business is you come across a lot of business problems, and something we always coach in our teams is when you see the same problem multiple times, take a mental note of that, because that means there's a broader opportunity. It's not just a custom one-off solution, but something that we could possibly take to market. And in this case, we'd been working with a client for a number of years on some different projects, and we shared some background about how we like to approach problems. And when they brought us this specific opportunity, we spoke with them, and they're like, hey, this is not just a problem for our organization, this is a problem the entire industry has. So
in the horticulture industry.
Horticulture industry, correct.
So I think that's important, because there's a difference between, say, agriculture and horticulture.
Correct.
Yep.
What is the difference, Cody? Maybe you can speak to that.
Well, to one big breakdown, and again, we've learned a lot about the plant world, and again, like I said before, people take it for granted, but a lot of our stuff would focus on, more indoor greenhouse growing, ornamentals, special crops. I think there's definitely a chance we could work with like some larger outdoor farms in the future. Yeah. It's not where we've initially focused. Yeah. And in fact, a lot of the research we did, even working with our clients, we'd go down, week at a time, take videos, what they would do, the process they'd run.
The processes, right.
And, just seeing what a day looked like in the normal life of a grower, and seeing kind of, what they'd run into, what would slow them down, what were some of the pain points, and even seeing what was important for them to track.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so just to add on, because Cody made a good point, it's really the most labor-intensive crops that our application is best suited for.
Yeah,
you're not exactly putting a tractor through a greenhouse, right?
Yeah, and that's the big cost with horticulture, right, is labor.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Based off, the data we've seen and collected, working with industry experts, it's around, between 30 and 50% of the input cost, depending on how efficient the grower is. So, finding ways to even make marginal improvements can end up being the biggest contributor to an improvement in the bottom line for these growers.
I love it. Drew, you had mentioned that Growmentum is really a SaaS application, right?
Correct.
So talk a little bit about what that actually is. When you hear the word SaaS or software as a service, what is it?
Yeah. So, historically, software was, built. You'd have to actually, download it onto your computer and run it on your computer.
Yes.
Over the past, 10, 20, maybe even 30 years, the model has shifted more to having applications running in the cloud. So you don't actually buy a copy of the software. You're able to provide the software at a lower cost to a large number of customers just by them accessing it over the internet, like any other website.
With a username and password
Correct.
or login or whatever. Okay, that's cool, and I think that's helpful to help our audience understand exactly what it is. So you got the SaaS application. You're focusing on the horticulture industry with Growmentum. When we talk about like the benefit to the end user, these greenhouses and these growers, right, in the horticulture space, what actually, the problem is that they're trying to get more profitability, more,
Well, I think it even goes deeper than that.
Yeah, please talk about that.
I think there's a lot of a lot of the folks we'd observed, they drive around a golf cart and basically ask people, hey, are things going okay? Is there a problem here? Is this behind? Are we ahead?
Yeah.
What's happening, right? And there's a lot of coordination. So I would say the biggest thing our platform does is for everything that a human has to touch on a plant or any plant-related material, right?
Yeah.
You can see how long it's supposed to take, how long it has taken, who's responsible for it, and what its status is.
Yeah.
And even that alone, ignore any cost savings, ignore any kind of convenience. Even having that level of reporting or even letting folks know the status of things is a huge baseline. And then from there, guess what? Once you know all those things, you can start to say, well, how can we make this faster? How can we make this more organized? Where do we need the most help in the greenhouse?
That's
and
amazing.
Therefore, how can you make it cheaper, right?
Yeah. Are most of your customers in the U.S. then? Or does this have
Correct.
potential to go global?
We do see an opportunity to go global. Right now, we're focused on the North American market, really U.S. and Canada, and there's some growers in Central America as well. This application is what you'd call a single source of truth. So instead of having hundreds or thousands of email chains, tens or hundreds of spreadsheets, a lot of he said, she said type interactions, it's a single place that the entire company can go to see, hey, where are we this week? Where are we this month? How is this crop doing?
Yeah, as you're describing that, I'm imagining a dashboard where all the data is there, and you can analyze.
Don't worry, we have a pretty sweet dashboard.
Okay, that's awesome. They call that the user interface, right?
Correct.
All right, good. It's good stuff. All right, so if you could break this all down, I'm going to give both of you guys a chance to do this. Give us your 30-second pitch for Growmentum. I'll start with you, Drew.
So
what do you tell people it is?
So
30 seconds.
Growmentum is task management and labor optimization built in partnership with a grower for the entire industry. So you can use our application to organize your business and track down to the second how long all of your growing operations should take and how long they actually took. And that gives you data-driven insights that you can use to improve your company moving forward.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, again, really similar thing for me. I would say, every task, how long it should take, how long it's taken, who's responsible, what's the status. So even with just that, pretty much exactly like Drew said, having that level of visibility and control, I truly don't know another application for this market that does that.
Yeah. What kind of feedback? Thank you guys. First of all, what kind of feedback are you getting from your customers?
Well, honestly,
Cody,
we have really taken a lot of the user feedback seriously. We've got people that are huge fans, really actually like to use the platform. We consistently meet up with different stakeholders that the companies we work with, and even just the normal users that would be inputting any data you'd see. We continually work to see how we can make it easier for them. What things are kind of those little creature comforts, those little extra things.
Yeah.
So far the response has been really great. And honestly, I think we've learned the most from when people do run into problems, right? Like, hey, what's this look like when I have to be in the middle of the sun, the middle of a hot field here, working in a greenhouse, hands sweating, something's falling off a golf cart and you have to put this in. It's like, how do you make that UI easier for someone? How do you make this, interaction just a little bit faster?
Real life situations.
Yeah, I mean, so
it's awesome.
And again, we try to continually tweak and build up the performance, build up that those extra nice creature comforts because at the end of the day, software is a lever, right? So if you can do something that takes you 10, 12, 15 hours but saves 1,000 people 2 hours a piece, well, that's a pretty good return, right?
And awesome. I mean, we've been fortunate to have a great partner to build this with their feedback and inputs. It's called Metrolina Greenhouses.
Yes.
Down near the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And, their inputs, they've been involved since before day one in this operation. They've, been really helpful at giving us an opportunity to not just build this sitting behind a computer, but actually going into the greenhouse, talking to all the stakeholders and build it truly is a purpose-built application with input from the end users to make the best possible product. And the result has been something that, there's been a good response from the industry, and generally good excitement about where we're going.
Yeah, that's great. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
At Freedom Kia, you'll find the perfect ride and savings for your summer adventures. This summer, dive into savings and fun. Just down the road is the Aquatic Center at Milan Park, where you can cool off and have some fun.
Committed to fair pricing, excellent sales and service with no hidden fees. You'll love the all-new 2024 Kia Sportage X-Line all-wheel drive leasing for just $299 a month.
So whether you're diving into savings or fun, Freedom Kia and the Aquatic Center have got you covered. Visit Freedom Kia today, right off of exit 153 on I-79 in Morgantown.
Folks, we're back. We're visiting with Drew Lytton and Cody Childers. They're both the co-founders for a new company here in West Virginia called Growmentum. They're serving the horticulture industry with a SaaS application they've developed to increase productivity and ultimately profitability. But really, you fell in love with a problem that you kept seeing over and over working with a client. Drew, speak to that about the importance of solving a problem.
Yeah, so this, in this case, it wasn't something that we immediately came to realize would be something accessible to the broader market. We did a good bit of customer discovery in talking to people in the industry to really understand the different considerations we have to have. Another thing that I really think has been important in this journey is building a good relationship, having a lot of empathy for the end users, and just building the human relationships to the end users to really understand how frustrating it is if you don't have the right tools to do your job because maybe they don't exist. I mean, that's really frustrating. So for me, it's falling in love with making people's lives better and finding meaning and purpose in that. I think has been really fulfilling.
Yeah. Cody, how about from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think, a problem's probably central to a lot of things. I mean, I don't think you really even have a story without a problem.
That's right.
I mean, there were definitely problems in Star Wars, right?
Yeah. Well, I always say, a lot of businesses fail because they fall in love with their solution. They think they've got this great idea, but there's really not a market for it. I.e., there's no problem, right?
Right.
They think it, they imagine it. Hey, this is going to be the greatest thing, and they go to market with it, and then they're like, nobody wanted to buy it.
Well, and it's interesting you say that too, because a lot of the ways that you see a problem would be how you solve it, right? And so,
right.
Software, code was really built to model the world. And depending on how you see that problem, depending on how you see the world, how you see that solution, really changes what you kind of build. And I think a lot of the best designs and a lot of the best solutions are iterative. So the first one's not the best, the second's not the best, but the fifth, the sixth, the 10th, that's where you're really starting to get into, this is where we're seeing the real gains.
And like you were saying, Cody, you're out there listening to people that are actually using it, right?
Yes.
And you're saying, my hands are sweaty or wet from, dealing with fertilizer or whatever. how do I access this, right? And so you're actually listening to the customer. I think that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about your guys' start to get into tech. Drew, from your perspective, what inspired you to get into like the tech business, the tech world?
So my background is in actually mechanical engineering.
Great.
I went to West Virginia Tech, played soccer there for 4 years, got my mechanical engineering degree. Towards my senior year, I started to really think, hey, like there's going to be life after college. I should start thinking about this. So I got a few of my friends, and we just started to jam on some different invention ideas, enter some business competitions. And that made me, realize, hey, I like engineering and this is fun. I also kind of like the business side and going out and finding problems that are not solved in the world today. So I came up here to Morgantown, to WVU, and got my MBA, and met some awesome advisors, awesome mentors, awesome friends in that program that I still am very much in touch with today. But really just got the bug for startups and solving problems that weren't solved. So that's amazing. Kind of what got me into tech. That kind of is a natural way in.
Cody, how about you? You grew up in Fairmont.
I did.
What's your path?
My parents were always a really big inspiration on me. My dad still to this day writes software. It really inspired me from as a little kid, seeing how big of an impact you could have with, just writing software on a computer. And really, seeing how much it's changed essentially, every industry for the last 50 years. And, the way everything's gone forward, strap a computer to it basically. Mm-hmm. And, my brother and I had an electronics company in college. And really just the more and more I got into it, kept getting bitten by the tech bug. We'd started up at MS Consulting and, met Drew, met Ashok, and really, we started building some awesome projects and just from there just kept going.
Yeah, that's very cool. And that's Ashok Abbott, the founder and head of M&S Consulting. Mm-hmm. That's great too. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
My name's Caitlin Furby. I'm an interior designer with Remarkable Interiors. Our time is very limited. We're trying to do everything we can possible to keep our clients' projects moving and rolling. So StoryMaker has been really great for us for putting out how to explain our company. I can sit and agonize about a post and is this right? Does this sound good? When I use StoryMaker, it sounds so beautiful and it was so easy and it saves me a lot of time to do the things that I'm really good at.
Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Get reliable, fiber-powered 500 megabits internet for $39.99 per month with a $100 gift card and price lock guarantee, plus a free modem, free installation, and free Wi-Fi your way. Folks, here at Interaction Media, we're a media company, and we rely on high-speed internet every single day to get our jobs done. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, it's fast, and they're awesome people as well. Learn more at breezeline.com. Folks, we're visiting once again with Drew Lytton and Cody Childers. They're the co-founders of a company called Growmentum. It's a SaaS application created just to serve the horticulture industry across North America. Guys, I want to ask you a little bit about artificial intelligence and AI and how that's playing in the tech world right now. Drew.
Yeah, it's kind of transformed everything. Google is one of the best businesses of all time, when you look at their cash flows. And for the first time really in my lifetime, about a year or so ago, people were like, hey, this business could be in trouble when ChatGPT came to market. Yeah. And it really has, changed. I used to use Google as my co-pilot. And now, I have ChatGPT or, similar thing open at all times, really always looking for ways to use generative AI to improve my personal productivity. So I think it's been amazing to see how fast that's moving.
Absolutely. Cody, what's your thoughts on it?
I think the term AI has been around for quite a while.
Right.
And, folks have always said, oh, hey, the stuff we have now would be considered amazing just a few years before. And I think we're going to be running the same situation. I think that it's got a lot longer that it can go. I think that the further advanced it gets and the ways that people are able to integrate into their workflow and really the kind of expectations for it are going to grow. I'd be very curious to see what things look like in the next 10 years.
Me too. Next 5 years, really.
Yeah. It changes week by week.
And the one thing I've heard a million people say, every time someone finds a flaw in this stuff or anytime there's some issue and everyone's like, hey, this is the worst this is going to be, right? This is the worst it's going to be right now. It's only going to get better.
That's right. Well, one of the things, I've been able to be fortunate enough to speak on this since we launched Storymaker last year and different audiences. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is to use AI for good, right?
I think that's a good message.
and also, to embrace it. And I don't want to get into it here, but I have all sorts of anecdotes back when the internet was really first coming into domination at the early stages, and people were so easy to dismiss it. Like, this is not, you think people are going to use email and all these different things that they would say, and then look at us now in 2024. It's just crazy how it works. And I'm saying the same thing for generative AI and it's just artificial intelligence.
And I think it's cool. I mean, historically, I think Cody mentioned it earlier, but software and technology is a lever. But for the first time, this is something that's actually generatively doing things without explicit human input to create text, video, audio. That it's a totally new form of creativity. It's really cool.
Absolutely. Getting back to Growmentum now, your business, your SaaS application, what's the market out there? Have you saturated the market already in just a year, or do you guys see long-term growth for this?
So right now we're really focused on a pretty narrow portion of the market for greenhouse growers in North America above a certain size. And we believe that building a best-in-class product for that market, we want to focus on that over the next couple of years, and we believe at that point we'll have a good platform to make a decision about where to take the platform next. There are some really exciting companies and technologies we'd love to integrate in this space, but for us it's one step at a time, one day at a time, and building an awesome product right now.
That's interesting. It sounds like you have to have some patience in your field. Is that true?
We've got more ideas than we do time, that's for sure.
Well, isn't that the case with most successful entrepreneurs, right? I always say focus is an acronym. Follow one course until success.
Right.
I think that's there's a lot of, I don't know, maybe wisdom in that, or maybe there's just it's just a fallacy. But I believe in it, and I think that it's really important to do that. So, what you guys are leading a SaaS application, a startup, right? Which is kind of scary, but you got some backing, right, with M&S behind you. What do you think is the most important attribute to a successful business leader today? Cody, I'll start with you, and then I'll ask you, Drew, the same question.
I think it'd be hard to pin down to one thing, but really having a vision, having determination, and I think having that grit and that wherewithal count for a lot, because you never hear about someone that, oh man, we tried this one time and just knocked it out of the park. The money just did not stop flowing. All the opportunities never ended.
Yeah.
But I think the real inspiring stories and the real people that you see that really made it somewhere in anything in life, I think having a vision and wherewithal count for a lot.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Drew, from your perspective, what's the most important attribute of a successful business leader today?
I think you've got to have vision. I like the word Cody used there. Resilience. You're gonna fail a lot. You're going to get told no a lot, but you have to be willing to learn from those. Have empathy for either the customer or the individuals you're speaking with and getting feedback from, and use that as an opportunity to build a better product or better company.
That's the second time you used the word empathy, and I really like that word too, and I like vision also. And I think it's one thing to have authority. You've got this knowledge, wisdom, data, you've got all this experience, but if you don't have empathy for the end user, the customer, then you're going to be sunk.
Right.
You got to have both. That's my humble opinion. Yeah. And I like the word vision because, I think when I think of the word vision, I'm kind of a simple thinker, and I think about what could be and what should be. And that's ultimately what you're talking about, Cody. I think that's awesome. Now, from the perspective of two West Virginia guys, Drew, you're from Beckley, Cody, you're from Fairmont. What would you say to somebody from West Virginia thinking about starting a business?
Yeah, I think
what's advice you would give?
I have a few pieces, but one would be become an expert on something you're really naturally curious about. Consume all you can information-wise, whether it's podcasts, books, preferably find a way to get a foot into that industry. And second is just be open to opportunities. Don't be too hard set on what your idea is on day one. Be willing to roll with the changes. Be married to the problem, not the solution.
Yeah, that's great. Cody, how about you?
One thing that I've used in a lot of places in life is, have the confidence that you can try to figure something out, right? Like, everything is probably something you can at least figure part of it out. I would say on top of that, everything probably takes longer than you assume it will, even when you take that into consideration.
Yeah.
And simplicity is extremely undervalued.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say any idea that you have, not only does it take twice as long, but it costs twice as much to develop than you originally thought too.
You're lucky if it's only twice.
Exactly. That's great. Well, that's great advice. And like I said, I admire both you guys. Growing up here in West Virginia, Beckley, Fairmont, staying here in our state, we need young leaders like you to not only start companies but to create jobs and create opportunities.
Hey, I love West Virginia. I live here by choice. I mean,
absolutely.
It's so rare to see a place that people have such a sense of family, I think we have a lot of special people here that really have done a lot of great things with a lot of skill. And I think if anything, we're probably tragically underappreciated. I think our state has a lot of awesome heritage, and I think, the beauty, the views alone, that's worth it alone.
Yeah.
I've traveled all over, and I think coming back to West Virginia, it's, the people are really special here. I get, there's a lot of chaos in the world. I feel like in West Virginia, people are very sensible, very tolerant, friendly, and it makes it a really special place. So, I love West Virginia. Like you said, I grew up here, and I think we have an opportunity to build a state that can be resilient, long into the future. We've got a lot of work to do.
I love it.
But I think that opportunity is there.
With two guys like you leading a company like Growmentum, there's no doubt that's going to happen for sure. Guys, we've covered a lot in this interview. Drew, I'll throw it out to you. How can our listeners learn more about you and Cody and learn more about Growmentum?
Yeah, so our website is growmentum.io, growmentum.io. Also, you can follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, probably a few others out there. So that's the best way. And
that's awesome.
And in the show notes, maybe you can put our contact
we
information.
will, and we'll mention you guys on all of our social media when this podcast goes live too. Our guests once again, Drew Lytton and Cody Childers with Growmentum. They're the co-founders. They're doing something really amazing in the horticulture space across North America. Keep your eyes on them, guys. I just want to congratulate you on getting this business launched, and I want to encourage you to keep up the great work.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, really appreciate being
this
here.
It's been a lot of fun.
Great
meeting you guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Keep up the great work with the podcast.
Yes, for sure.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, Interaction Media, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positively.wv.com/sponsor.
Folks, that's does it for another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on the show, drop us a line on our website at positivelywv.com. And of course, we appreciate your encouragement and comments along the way as well. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Justin Schofield behind the controls, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.